Hello everyone, welcome back to episode 60 of Enigmatica 6 Expert. We are finished. We have the statue here. We have the world shaper. Hang on. In here. The creative world shaper right here. So this episode is basically just going to be a world tour, and I'll have the link down below for the world download if you're interested in that. The download will only be available for, I don't know, a little while because I can't keep things. I'm not going to be able to pay for the storage forever. So just if you're watching this in 6 months' time, you might not be able to download it. If you really want it, you can message me and I'll upload it again for you. But yeah. So this episode, what are we going to do? First of all, this is pretty much where we started. We started mostly out here. So yeah, if you watched the first episode, you may remember this is kind of what it looked like. And now it looks like this. My render distance is much lower than what it was back then because I have a lot more going on. But yeah, this is pretty much the same area you saw there, but with a whole bunch of stuff built into it. So yeah, we first of all started, basically the first thing I did as soon as I got create was I dug this hole into the mountain. And then I dug this big area around out here, using just a create, minecart contraption to dig it all out. And then we slowly started building the machines into the walls and things like that. When I first started, I didn't expect to have this thing in the middle here. I just had a big empty open space, but I guess it ended up looking pretty cool with the turbine, the big turbine. And the fusion reactor and what is this thing called? The supercritical phase shifter. Yeah, I think that ended up looking pretty cool. But yeah, let me go around and show you the various areas. So I guess we could start here actually. This is the main interface where I do all of my crafting and stuff. This is our refined storage system. We have a whole bunch of stuff in here. And yeah, that's pretty straightforward. These are our storage disks. Mostly we have 16K. I made some 64K ones just because we were starting to run out of space, and a few fluid storage ones as well, just because we need lots of fluid storage. Over here we have our crafters, so we have gold crafters for just the regular 3x3 patterns. Yeah, they're all pretty much full. The only one that's not quite full yet is this one, and I guess I saw a couple of missing spots. Every now and then I have to take something out and I don't know where it goes, so we end up with a blank space. Where was that? I forget. Anyway. Yeah, so over here we have, so this is probably the first machines that we built. This is our pressure chamber. It's a 2x2 interior one, and it's served us well the entire series. Around the back up the top here is where we have our compressors. I have upgraded this a few times. Now we have these air grates blowing onto heat sinks, and those are connected via heat pipes to try and keep it cool. And that allows us to have 3 speed upgrades in here, which helps to speed it up a little bit without getting it too hot. And then we have down here as well a bunch of various pneumatic craft machines. So this is where we make our plastic. We have a whole bunch of liquid or molten plastic here. This has been upgraded a few times as well. We're now making it via biodiesel. We used to make it via, what is it? The biodiesel you get out of the air, this biodiesel. But now we get it from industrial craft biodiesel, which is much, much faster. Yeah, and we also have lubricant and vegetable oil. And over here, this is a fairly later edition. This is making all of the chorus stuff. So we have crystallized chorus. We have molten pink ender slime, which is mixed with pink slime and ender slime. Over here we have our advanced assembly table. This used to be just the assembly table. It was right here as well. But now it's the advanced one, so we can do all of those recipes. Up here we have a few more machines. So this is where we make the fuel for the liquid compressors. I have 4 pyrolyzers going at the moment. That was fairly late as well. We had just one for most of the series. And then we have a few other bits and pieces here with various mixtures and stuff like that. This was where we used to make liquid lithium and lithium, but this is a very slow process as well, so I have a different setup over there, which we'll get to in a minute. We have a couple of different machines here. This one is just placing molten plastic to make plastic sheets. That's just a trapdoor, and there's a hopper underneath to pick it up. And then this machine here makes, I forget, what does this make? Oh yeah, the leather, this thing, leather strips. So that's a pretty straightforward machine too. And here, this thing here is what makes the chromatic compound, no, refined radiance from chromatic compound. It puts it into the beam of the beacon there and it makes it instantly. Down here we have our mechanism machines. So we have the infuser for making the redstone one, the diamond one, and the obsidian one. And then these machines here make the enriched obsidian. So we pulverize obsidian. Then then over here we have another metallurgic infuser which takes enriched diamond, which I think comes from something. Oh, I think it comes directly from here. So this one goes into here and here, yeah. And then we enrich it there, and then it goes into here. And then yeah, we have a XNet. XNet is used extensively throughout the base to do various bits of semi-automation and stuff. Yeah, so that's there. Over here we have some thermal machines. Oh, I lost out my framed slope. That's weird. Let's get that back in there real quick. Can't have it looking like that. Yeah, so there's just various machines there. This is the dissolution chamber. This was probably the first big machine that we made that need lots of power. This is for batch crafting stuff with the energizing orb. I haven't really used it much lately because I only got it up to blazing level, and I never bothered increasing it after that, because we have this one here, which is the fully upgraded one. Everything's nitro, and it actually even has down here a blazing reactor to give it as much power as we can. And sometimes I hook it up to the main power source when I need even more power, but that's pretty rare, I would say. Yeah, and then up here, we have a few more thermal machines. These are all the multi-servo presses. And in the back here, I have it upgraded. So I have, these ones are all doing numismatic dies, and these ones are all just doing plates. And yeah, it's just so that we can get, 8 times faster than one machine. This little setup here is where we make our charged snowballs, which we use for anything that needs lightning. This has been going on since the beginning of the season with just a basic energizing rod. So it's always running with what have we got? A hardened solar panel, and yeah, the basic energizing rod. So it's very, very slow to do one snowball, but yeah, we don't actually use that many snowballs, so we have 162 stacks available. This is where our tree farm comes in. So up here, up this chute here, there's our main spruce tree farm. There you go, you just saw some falling down. And this is just where it ends up. We have the logs, we have the charcoal and sticks and saplings. And then they are used to feed these two, mostly these two. Actually, pretty much all of our furnace engines are fed by this tree farm. We have some ender chests here, which help to, we use it in different parts of the base, which I'll get to in a minute. But the tree farm itself is actually way, way, way up here. So yeah, this is the tree farm here. It's doing 2x2 spruce trees, so they're really, really huge. And we get tons and tons of logs, so it's quite efficient actually. Yeah, so this one here is basically the power for this room in here. And this one here powers everything over there, which we'll get to in a minute. But this room here is our one-off crafting recipe stuff. So we have, just the blast furnace, we have the washer, and we have a cooker. And we have some grind wheels here, which actually I use. I have a couple of recipes going in here to craft here because this does it quite fast. And yeah, we just have some various random machines there and some spouts. And this is for a lot of the 5x5 crafting recipes, the one-off stuff. Over here we have our create, I don't know, like automation system where we automate everything from create. So probably one of the first things we made here was the concrete one. And then we have, this one is concrete, liquid concrete. And then we have andesite alloy right here. So a lot of these things are just like, I have a detector which is set to a certain amount. So 5,000 andesite alloys. And then it goes into a redstone link there, which turns off the machine. So there's a clutch there. And yeah, it turns off the machine there. I won't go through everything here because there's quite a lot of them. I think this one is making blaze cakes. Yeah, and then this one is using the blaze cakes to make the dielectric paste. And then we have, I don't know, I can't remember what everything's for. Rough machine frames, and plastic sheets. This one has a speed thingy to make it go faster because otherwise it's quite slow. Mostly everything runs at just the default, no, actually it runs at 32 RPM, most things. But then I have a couple of other places where I want it to run faster. And that's mostly just to keep the stress down so I don't have to have tons of, I could have tons of furnace engines, I guess, but yeah, I just never really needed to. Over here we have some bigger crafting areas. So this one was making the mecha tools. And this one here makes our, what are these things called? Nitro reactors. So I have a couple of nitro reactors around the place, and I use this, basically it's automated by pipes. I just have filters on each of these inputs to say what goes where, and then the stuff goes in here, and then, you know, it works like that. This wall here is kind of like our passive production of various bits and pieces. So here we have a very simple, stone creation thingy where we have lava and water. For some reason there was an update to the game, and if you have a void upgrade on a drawer and you have a hopper going into the drawer, it ignores the void upgrade, so it doesn't think it can void these cobblestone. So they just sit there and lag the server a little bit, which is, I don't know, it's not that bad. And then over here we take the cobblestone and we pulverize it, and then we pulverize it again, and we keep all of these things backlogged. So we have a bunch of glass, slag. This one comes from nether quartz. We have silicon, and then we have clay balls over here from clay, and then this one was relatively recent actually. It's making dirt from melons. And then yeah, over here we had to make some mushrooms. Actually down here is where most of our mushrooms are being made, but yeah, we ran out of space, so we had to put one up there. That's an on-demand machine for making liquid stuff. And this one's making glowstone. No, molten sulfur. What do we need molten sulfur for? Oh, for a bunch of machines. Yeah. And then here we have making ice and blaze rods. And this is where our pink slime and our ether gas comes into. There's some tanks, some ender tanks there where they come from out in the world, which I'll get to in a minute. And then here we're making reinforced stone, and this one is our fluid encapsulator. That's a bunch of recipes, so a bunch of stuff goes in there, and then lava, of course. And then over here, this is one of our newest machines, I guess. This is where we make the antimatter pellets, and also we have an anti-protonic nucleosynthesizer for various recipes. Mostly it's for all of these things here. Over here and also up here, so this one up here, this one here, and down there we have a bunch of photogenic insulators making various plant-based stuff. Mostly these were added once we were up past the enigmatic tree of life and we needed a bunch of plants and things, so there's a whole bunch of them added there. And also there was more than that, so all of these are also done in photogenic insulators. But once they filled up, I figured I didn't need to keep crafting them, so I moved them down here and repurposed the insulators for other things. I have a few garden cloches here as well, making various bits and pieces too. So, and then what do we have up here? Oh yeah, this is where we make our mechanism 5 times ore processing. So I had a bunch of Nebu ore, which I guess is gone now, so we can probably clean that up. going into here, and we were getting lots of Nebu. Yeah, we got 39,000 there. So this was that came from an excavator, which I'll get to in a minute. Let's put that away. Yeah, and we have a couple of little machines here. So this is just this was making molten sulfur until I got the one down there, and then this one makes molten obsidian. As far as I know, the only way to make molten obsidian is in this in the smeltery. Right, yeah, the only way is to make it in the smeltery. So you can melt obsidian, or you can alloy lava and water, but I'm just melting obsidian because we have tons of that. So yeah, that's making a molten obsidian for, I forget what. Over here we have a nitro reactor going into this quantum entangler porter. This nitro reactor powers the inputs for the fusion reactor, so I'll get to that in a minute. And then this nitro reactor powers everything in the ME system. So our ME system is currently using 70,000 RF per tick. Yeah, this thing produces 500,000. So we have a bit of room there. And then this is another nitro reactor that powers basically everything else in the base. So it's almost everything else in the base, I guess. Some things are powered by solar panels still. But yeah, everything else is powered by this guy. And then here is the inputs for all of our reactors. So this one makes the uraninite. This one makes the blue ice. No, dry ice? Yeah, dry ice. This makes dry ice. Yeah, this is the input to the dry ice. So you put blue ice into there, and then it makes dry ice. If I put that one in there, I think, yeah, that'll make dry ice, right? So there's a bit of processing needed to get them ready. But these machines are enough to power the entire base. And these are all just basic as well, I think. Yeah, basic energizing rod and another basic one. So they didn't need to be too high powered. And that's pretty much it. I think we're back around to the start again of the main base area. So let's head outside. Oh, let's have a quick sleep. Where's my sleeping bag? Oh, actually, the other thing too, I can pop down here. So underneath here, I have not too much stuff, just a couple of random machines. So here we have this guy making hydrogen, which we use as the fuel for our jetpack. And also we needed liquid hydrogen for a couple of the later recipes. And then over here we have network cards that go to other dimensions. And then this thing fills up with the ingredients to make withers so that we can farm nether stars. And then we'll get to that in a minute too. And then I have a couple of random bits of storage there for lots of other recipes. And then, yeah, I'll get to that in a minute. And I think that's basically it. This is just like my basement area. There's nothing too complicated here. Oh, one other thing I forgot to mention over up here. We have this area here, which is where we spawn Enderman. And we use it to make the Enderman spawner cores. So yeah, that's where we do that here. Yeah, that's it for the inside of the base, I guess. Let's go outside now. One of the first things I built was this little house here. And this little house contains our cooking stuff. So we have the first cooking pot we made is this one. And a couple of kitchen stuff for random other recipes and things. And this is my bed. If I die, that's where I respawn. I never break that bed. And then over here we have a bunch of, this is Ars Novo stuff. So I have this enchantment set up here, which was the first one we made. It takes inputs from there and crafts it up. It's kind of flaky though, because stuff gets mixed up. If I need to craft lots of things, it'll sometimes get clogged. So I built two more, this one and this one. And these ones work by, you put the inputs into here, it crafts one at a time. So it has this pulse mode thingy set here. And then these are just set to blacklist the middle ingredients. And then the middle piece is set to whitelist the middle ingredients. So basically it puts everything in the right spot. Then it extracts the result into this chest. And then we have the pipes here, which set off the crafter to craft the next set of ingredients. It's not that much slower than doing it this way, actually. So this was probably the way I should have done it from the beginning, but I didn't think about it. And yeah, this area never really got decorated because this was relatively lately added. Over here we have, this is our first source of sauce. It was a farm that had a whole bunch of stuff in it. So I used to farm like all of these stuff here, you know, wheat and industrial hemp and what else? Carrots and potatoes and sugarcane. But eventually we didn't need any of that. We had the phytogenic insulator. So now it's just doing mage, what are these called? Mage blooms, sauceberries and mage blooms. The only two things. And that's just to maximize the amount of sauce we get, which goes up here. And actually even that ended up not being enough. So down here I have this one here, which is the volcanic, this one here, the volcanic sauce link. So basically we put charcoal here, charcoal or copper, depending on, not copper, coal, charcoal or coal. So it ends up there, and oops, this is down here. We have the automation for that down here. So that's our like backup in case we don't have enough sauce from here. These chickens used to be our primary source of eggs, but then we got eggs, a whole bunch of eggs from a whole bunch of chickens later on. So they don't really do anything now. And I used to have a sheep in there, but he died and I never replaced him. And then we have a bunch of tree farms and things. Every now and then I have to go through and clear out these bee nests here, just because they, I have no other way of getting rid of them. Yeah, so this is oak trees. We have here cactuses, and we have mineral trees, and at the moment we have other wood logs. I've had a couple of different trees in this farm over the season. So yeah, and then here this one is a melon farm. Melon or pumpkin? I think it's melon. Yeah, melon. So yeah, that's just basically a vanilla one with except I use a hopper instead of a minecart hopper. Over here we used to have a dragon, a Komodo dragon in there, but I got rid of him because I didn't need it anymore. And then we have our camels here. The camels serve a couple of purposes. One, they make fertilizer, although not that much fertilizer. They also gather milk, and I use them for one of the recipes. I forget what one of the occultism recipes they're needed for. Over here we have our Drigme. I only have one Drigme for the whole season. He's died a couple of times, so I had to respawn him. But at the moment, he's farming mostly the Moscow, which I called Bruce. And we have some snakes, and there used to be a Nautilus in there, but he seems to have gone missing somehow. What have we got? Roadrunner, Kangaroo. Yeah, a couple of random stuff. I used to have a whole bunch of different things there. There used to be a Gusta and whatever. I forget what makes the Heart of Diamond, that thing. And there used to be sheep in there too, and dwellers, and yeah. So this is where all of those ingredients end up there. This little thing here is in case I needed some extra stuff. So mage blooms can only be farmed by hand. You can't farm them in the garden cloth or the insulator. So I have this thing here, which is using PhytoGrow. In here is our blood magic area. So I have this thing automates the arcane ashes. So basically it just goes, redstone pulses thing. So this one right clicks the arcane ashes, then the second ingredient, then the third ingredient. And it's pretty straightforward automation just with some repeaters and stuff. This is our main blood magic altar where we do all of our crafting. And then over here we automate the slates, the various semi-automated, I guess. I put the ingredient in there, and then I select via the lever which one I want to make, and then the XNet system handles all of that for us. And yeah, around the back is just pretty straightforward too. This was our portal to the demon level, whatever it was called. I don't need to go back there anymore. I think I destroyed the portal on the other side too, actually. Over here we have our demon crystallizer, which is where we get our crystals from. This is not automated at all. I just manually do all of this. And then, yeah, I have this thing here so that we can go to, mostly I need it to go to our ender where I use it to get more will if I need it. And then in here is our automated alchemy table. This is quite slow. This is probably the slowest machine one of the slowest machines that I have, because it does it one by one. And yeah, the pipe setup is kind of slow too. We have to round robin it one at a time. So low extraction module, high speed to make it go through the pipes fast, I guess, and round robin, and then a stack limiter to limit to one item each. So it works reasonably well. It gets complicated when you have a recipe that takes all 6 ingredients, because there's only 6 sides that you can choose. So sometimes it gets clogged and I have to manually unstick it, but that was that anyway. And then down here at the next level below, this is where we have our blood orb in here collecting the LP, and then underneath we have our well of suffering with some villager spawners to get the villagers out. So that's all pretty straightforward. This one I didn't end up having to upgrade to the full level, and also haven't decorated this area at all. Okay, what else? Oh, I guess through here is our this is our immersive engineering arc furnace. So a couple of recipes in here to make various stuff in the arc furnace. And then over here we have some more immersive engineering stuff. We have this squeezer is not hooked up anymore to anything, but we have some automated engineering workstations for various recipes. Yep. And back here we have some more immersive engineering stuff. We have distillation towers. So this one was originally not originally, this was the second place where we made brine and lithium. But we'll get to, oh, that's disconnected. Okay, let me reconnect it, I guess. I find the mechanism pipes get disconnected from the entangled blocks whenever I disconnect the server, whenever I shut down the server, so that's kind of annoying. But anyway, we haven't needed to use it for anything, so yeah. And then here is where we now make our biodiesel. So it's seeds into this squeezer, and potatoes into this fermenter, and then it goes into the mixer, which mixes it up into biodiesel, and we have a bunch here. And then yeah, this is the back of this area here. Yeah, so that's it for here. I don't think I have anything else back here to show. No. All right, so over here we have our bees. This is where we have all of our bees in these various beehives. They're all, most of them have 9 bees in total in them. That one has 8, I guess. These are all been upgraded to tier 4. So they all have to go into this elite centrifuge here, which turns them into the ingredients. And then they go into this enriching factory, sometimes into this smelting factory. And then this is the wall of output stuff. So everything ends up in here. This is all our resources that we get from bees. Actually, not just bees, because we also have down here, let me just skip over a few things. That thing seems to it gets stuck and it just like makes noise forever. Let me grab the XP. Yeah, so we have a few dimensional mine shafts here with the miners. Mostly they're irradiated ones because I needed lots of sulfur. But this one is an ore mining one, which is mostly used to get the isnium, which we don't really need anymore because I have so much of it. And then this setup here is for automatically repairing the genies, which I can get to in a minute over there. Yeah, actually, let me get over to the Britannia setup here. I guess we could go straight to that. So we have Pure Daisy. We have a bunch of mana pools with the various blocks underneath. So these are the different recipes need different blocks underneath. So I have 4 different ones here. Although only 2 of them actually have recipes. These ones don't need recipes for anything. We have our runic altar here, which has 2 mana spreaders pointed into it, and we also have our botanical brewer over here, which has 4 mana spreaders pointed into it. And here we have our mana infuser, which pulls mana from basically all of these pools around here. We have our elven gateway, which actually works. We can go through it into the elven land, whatever it's called. Oh boy. Oh, that was weird. Yep, so there we go, and we can head back as well. Not that interesting, it's just mostly grass and dreamwood. Okay. Over here is where we craft. Oh no, what do we do here? We make our mana using. We have a whole bunch of these ones, mana tablets, which is where we store our mana. And this one is what fills them up, and then over here is what empties them out. So they empty out into this pool, which then fills up all the other pools. I have a total of 8 mana spreaders pointing into this pool and 8 Gora Malices feeding it. So this here is the setup where we make the food. It's 2 different kinds of sandwiches to feed the Gora Malices. What else? Over here we have a few different little bits and pieces of crafting. So here we make our rubber, dried rubber, cured rubber, and latex as well. And then here we're making the ender slime, which we used inside. And here we are making syrup. And this one makes, what does this one make? Mineral resin. So yeah, we have a bunch of mineral logs there. And then up at the next level, we're making, what is that called? Glitter kelp, I think. That's our glitter kelp farm. And then over here is our lightning craft area. So we only have one for all of our lightning craft recipes. So yeah, it's basically done using pipes and also integrated dynamics. Let me sleep again. Up here we have, this is a temporary setup that we use to get all of these, what are these called? Relics. So basically I just put the relics in this here, and then this thing pops them out, and then this thing breaks them. And then we put them in the water to wash them, and then we put them in here, and these are all the different kinds of relics you can get. Yeah, so I think that's that for this area. Up at the top here, we go past our tree farm, and this is our astral sorcery area. So up here is where we first started astral sorcery, and I started it up here because the closer you are to build height, the more light you get. And then we just kept expanding it, and now it's the fully automated version. And we used this just recently to make the creative world shaper. These lights here, usually I have these actually going into here, into the machine, but we have so much starlight in here, it's kind of crazy. But I had to use these because we needed enough light for the creative world shaper. Over here we have our observatory. I've never really used the observatory. I only made it because we needed to make a bunch anyway. Over here we have, this is our automated system for making celestial crystals. I put the rock crystal in here and the stardust, and then yeah, it goes through the system and a bunch of variables. This is quite complicated to make, and eventually we get the celestial crystals out there. And then over here I can put them in here, and then out will come the attuned ones. So I was making a bunch of Dissidia. We needed these, not necessarily Dissidia, it just had to be attuned for the observatory lenses, I think. So yeah, that's this setup here, and I think that's basically it. We have this, although I never really use this because it's, as far as I could tell, you can't really automate it. Oh yeah, we have over here, we're making liquid starlight. So I have 5 wells, and we have a bunch in the end as well, which I'll get to in a minute, making more liquid starlight, but mostly we had just one for most of the series, and right at the end I had to really increase this. Yeah, so that's that. And then down towards the water a bit more, we have our occultism setup. So this one is making these guys, and then this one makes these guys, and then this one makes a fruit. So actually I usually take this out because I don't want it to make a fruit normally. I have to be here to kill the Ifrit because my looting sword gets so much more essence than we get otherwise. Oh yeah, this was used to make the creative cog, whatever that thing was called. We don't need that anymore. Let's put all this stuff away. Yeah, this is where we make our offering to the gods stuff. And we have the Eidolon automation here. This was relatively late. I didn't have to use this for a long time. But we did need a couple of lesser soul gems, so I had to make it. It's the only way to make it. And then these recipes are easier in this Then otherwise, we have our altar of birthing here. Some sheep, which because this area tends to be high in ore, this is how we get a bunch of birthing token thingies, whatever they're called. Over here we have our natural altar. This is where we craft all the stuff with the natural altar. It's a very simple automation. This is where we craft the what is this thing called? I forget what this setup is called, but it's the wooden stands and the gold powder, and then this is the automation here. It's kind of complicated, but I ended up a bunch of tweaks needed, but I eventually made it pretty robust, so I was quite proud of this one. Over here, this makes straw. Basically, we bone meal here, and then this knife here breaks the thing and straw comes out. This is the setup for where we make our guard shards, so we have a bunch of them in here. I think, yeah, 35 stacks is probably the most, 38 stacks. Yeah, so this is where we craft all these up. Our Nebu goes in here, and then it ends up in here with Dusty Mumbies, and then it goes into this block placer up here, which places it there, and then this signal tells this thing to break it with the Nebu hammer, and then it falls in there, and then we have this set up here to smelt them down and get the guard shards out. Another farm here for berries and ditch bulbs. Yeah, what else? Oh yeah, of course, over here we have the enigmatic tree of life. So this one was a big build. It took a long time, but yeah, it looks pretty cool. And it's only used for a couple of things, but yeah, this is the inside where we have to automate a few different things. We needed to input mana into here. We needed a bunch of liquids into various bits and pieces, starlight and lubricant and tritium and deuterium. What else? And yeah, over here we have life essence, and then up here is the input and output, which I have entangled to a block back at the base, which is where we actually put stuff in. I have recipes and stuff to go in at the base. Yeah, so that's that. Let's get out of here. All right, and then over here we have this one here is where we make our tritium. So yeah, it's making tritium here, and yeah, it has as input. It needs mana as input, so I have more Gory Malices here going straight into the mana spreader, which goes straight into here. And yeah, as long as this this tank is not full, so you can see here I have a bit of integrated dynamics to signal when it's not full, then it'll be outputting food up there and filling up the mana, and then that will end up making liquid tritium. And then over here we have our system for making deuterium. So this one is also pretty straightforward to automate. Same kind of deal where we have, what do we have here? We have, oh yeah, this is where we needed the molten sulfur to go in, and also air. So air comes from 2. We needed to have 2 furnace engines to get enough speed and RPM to make it go at the full 256 RPM. So this is from back at the base where the tree farm was going in. So that's how we get all of the input for that. And then the power is here. That comes from that nitro reactor that we have over at the base. Yeah, this is where we have this thing. Over here is the astral sorcery temple thingy. So this is where we do. Oh, we have a whole bunch of random rock crystals in here. So here we have the collector crystal, which is trained on that block right there. So we have a couple of things that go into here. So we have star metal ore, we have soul sand here. This makes soul sand for us. And then this one is where I put rock crystals into here. I put not the rock crystal, it's the celestial, yeah, these guys, celestial honeycomb blocks. You put them in there, and then it places it there, and then this thing converts it into rock crystal, and then this thing breaks it, so it has a whitelist for rock crystal, soul sand, and star metal. When it breaks it, this vacuum hopper here picks it up and puts it into the system. And then just outside of that, we have our first. This is the first reactor that we made. It's not too big, but it served us well for quite a while. And this is where we make our plutonium. And this one makes atomic alloys. Yeah, and that's this one also makes polonium pellets using this guy here, pressurized reaction chamber. We have a bunch of them. And then over here, this is our final setup where we make our brine and our liquid lithium. So these two are the max height, and this one here, I used a resistive heater with a couple of nitro solar panels to get it hot. And this one doesn't use anything, it just uses the solar panels on the top. It doesn't quite get as hot, 1.88 thousand. And this one is 44,000. So this one goes quite fast. Yeah. Over here, we have our big nuclear reactor. Big fission reactor, I should say. This one is the maximum size you can make it, and the maximum efficiency turbine as well. Yeah, so it's making 3 million FE. Although the input here is quite low still. It's only 55. I could increase it, but I need way more sulfur. This is why we need lots of sulfur. We have the machines here making the fuel. And there has been a few accidents here where when this thing gets disconnected and I try to reconnect it, sometimes I'll get a leak and this will irradiate the area. But right now you can see it's not irradiated. It goes away after a little while. It's not too dangerous. And then I have these two solar neutron activators making the polonium. Yeah, polonium. And then this entangled block here goes to the SPS chamber in the main base, and that's where we turn it into antimatter. To get enough sulfur, I tried just using bees, but that still wasn't enough. And then I ended up making this tree farm here, which technically is also not enough. As you can see, it's empty of spruce logs still. And that's because we turn the spruce logs into sulfur right here. We have 12 stacks, I guess. So it's not quite like empty. But yeah, we turn the charcoal. No, so first of all, we smelt the logs into charcoal. We crush the charcoal into dust. And then we do a bunch of stuff here and turns the charcoal into sulfur dust. And then, yeah, there's 3 machines making sulfur dust and they go into there. And we get as output hydrogen, which is just voided pretty much. Back over here, this is where we make our Gaia. This is our Gaia reactor, and we make Gaia spirits here. For the most part, the excess mana is not really used for anything. I probably could use it for more if I wanted to, but mostly I just use it to make resonating gems. So if you look here, I have, what is that, 3,000 at the moment resonating gems. And that's just because using the excess mana to make them here. That's what this little setup here does. But yeah, mostly it's for making Gaia spirits. And the way I turn it off is I turn off this. When I turn this guy on, it sets the redstone signal, which turns these guys off. So this will be empty of pressure. But everything else just keeps going. It only uses what it needs. So we have memory essence and we have liquid starlight here. And over here we have power. Comes from this nitro reactor. I don't think I need a nitro reactor actually, probably didn't need to be that much power. Okay, so back here again, if we go down, this is down close to the bottom of the world. So if we look down here, we are making corundum, all of the different colors of corundum here, using these block breakers to break them. So every now and then, one new block will spawn above it and it'll break it, and then we pick it up and put it in here. This setup here is where we make flux dust. Oh, there you go. I just heard one breaking. Flux dust is made there. Again, automated using integrated dynamics. Up here, there's a couple of random farms. So this is where we made cave roots. Here we are making chickens. So cooked chickens for our mana farm. Every now and then this door seems to disappear. I'm not sure why the door goes away. Yeah, so the cooked chickens go there and feathers as well. And then this thing turns off when it's full. This is where we make our memory essence. So we're quite empty at the moment because we had to use a lot for all of the later recipes. This thing has been almost full in the past. But yeah, basically we get from a mob crusher, we get, what is that stuff called? Essence. Then we turn it into whatever that one is, and then we turn that one into memory essence, which is what goes into here, and we use that all around the base for all of the stuff. This is powered by a simple liquid compressor. Oh, thank you. And then up here is where we have all our stuff spawning. So most of these things are set to no AI and ignores players. So yeah, we don't have to worry about the AI. To get the most memory essence. Oh, there's one missing. What happened there? We have piglin brutes spawning. Those are the ones that give us the most memory essence. And then we have a bunch of other stuff, mostly for the drops, but the memory essence is also useful. So we have guardians, we have shulkers, we have silk moths and gwiblings, and yeah, silk moths. So that's all of the stuff. And then this mob crusher here crushes all of those things down. As you can see, these are set. These are fairly high speed ones, 50 min and 125 max. They spawn like that in the world. You can't make them like that with upgrades. So yeah, I did that. I found those pretty useful actually. And this is where all of the drops go here. I used to have wither skeletons as well in there and a couple of other things. But yeah, these are all the drops that we need. And then here we have our, this is our spawner of our blaze spawner. So we have 2 blaze spawners here, and they go into these vector plates, which go down and fall into this. Oh, why has it got molten glass and milk? Yeah, it tends to get clogged sometimes. So if I need lots of blazing blood, I'm going to have to figure out how to fix that. But at the moment, we don't need it, so it's fine. And then this setup here is just, this was our first manual farm. At the moment it only has skeletons in it, and I was using that to make soul shards. So I have this little setup here to automate getting the soul shards, or at least semi-automated, I guess. Yeah, so I think that's pretty much it for the overworld stuff. Let me quickly take you to some of the end stuff. We have our Ender. This was one of the first buildings we made, not too far from... let me back to here. So we are not too far from the main end island here. So there's the main end island. And here's our Ender. It's a very straightforward, mostly vanilla one. Because we built this quite early on, so it's mostly vanilla. It attracts the Enderman via a Endermite in a minecart. And yeah, it works quite well actually. It's really fast. So you can see here, it's already pretty full. And yeah, this is how I got all of my XP early game. And even fairly late game too. We were using this to get will as well, because it's quite quick to get lots of will. And then yeah, I have an enchantment table here with a bunch of upgrades actually now. And then let me take you to the outer island. This is where we have our ME. So we have our network set up here. This makes shadow steel. So we drop chromatic compounds down there, and it turns into shadow steel and comes back up. And here this is making what is this making? I forget. Oh yeah, bottled darkness. We just shoot out the bottles here, and then we use this setup here to replenish the aura that you need to make the bottled darkness. Yeah. Over here is where we make extra liquid starlight. So it's just a fluid laser base with a white laser lens, which makes liquid starlight once we power it up, and we use this blazing reactor to power it. So it's not super fast, but yeah, it works quite well. Let me show you now in the nether. Okay, just a few things to show here. We have over here is where we make the aura. It's just a shooting mark, and we have a bunch of snowballs that we shoot at it. And then we have here our crimson altar, which is just a natural altar, and we only have a couple of recipes here, so not too big. And then I think over here we have this is making what are these ones called? bottle of ghosts or something. Yeah, bottled ghosts. And I put this here to stop the piglins and stuff from walking here and standing here, which would break the shooting mark, basically. Theoretically, they can still spawn in there, but I haven't really noticed that so much. They've wandered in there, though, which has been kind of annoying. Yeah, and that's pretty much it. Oh, I guess, wait, this is probably empty now. Oh, no, I still have this one here. Yeah, so this one is making relic ores. Oh, it's totally full. And then I have another one that was making cinnabar. This is out here at in the overworld. It just goes into the ender chest, which goes to where the bees are. And then we used to have one that was getting what was that stuff called? Nebu. But then I finished with that one. We're all done. Yeah, that's pretty much the tour. I think that covers everything. There's nothing that I've forgotten. At least I don't think there is. There's none. I don't remember that I've forgotten anything, obviously. So, yeah. So, what are my thoughts on the pack? I thought it was pretty good. Once you get to the tree, once you've built the tree, there's a huge, incentive, in my opinion, to just, give up and quit. Because the grind just goes pretty much through the roof once you start making the tokens. But, now that we got it done and everything, I think it was kind of worth it. So I'm really happy with everything that we did. And I had a good time throughout the whole pack. And yeah, I think it was pretty good. So that's it. Thanks for watching. And I guess I won't see you next time, but maybe we'll have another series soon, or maybe I'll restart the Divine Journey one. I'm not sure yet. But yeah, thanks for watching this one, and bye!